RYUC After Action Report Essential: Understanding the Stuff of Creation. This recording is part of a series of recordings reporting on an exploration into our creativity, collectively entitled Releasing Your Unlimited Creativity After Action Report, abbreviated RYUC-AAR. This particular recording addresses the creativity essential relative to understanding the stuff or material out of which creation has come into existence. Background on the creativity essentials and the RYUC material. The creativity essentials are concepts, principles, ideas, or whatever one may wish to call them, related to the source out of which our creativity arises. The journey of exploration into our creativity revealed the essentials needed to be addressed and understood in some way by an individual if one desired to move as deep as possible into their own creativity, creative ability, and creative power in this incarnation. Otherwise, one would be placing self-imposed limits on their creativity. Essentials are not building blocks or fundamental items used to create something. Rather, the essentials are about the stuff out of which the building blocks and foundational items arise. It is suggested you ponder, contemplate, do your own experiments with the creativity essentials such that you know their truth for yourself. Here I wish to bring to your attention we each have a very unique perspective of creation. What I say and write about on the topic of creativity with its relationship with the creative essence of creation are my comments based on my observation and experience from the journey of exploration into our creativity. If what I say resonates with you, use it. Otherwise, it's recommended you do your own contemplation, experiments, and exploration into the variety of topics discussed here to see which true for yourself. The stuff of creation. The creative essence of creation is the stuff out of which all of creation arises. The journey of exploration into our creativity revealed all that can readily be said about this stuff from out of which creation arises is that it is creative. It creates. However, it needs to be understood what can be said about this creative essence of creation is really very limited. But there are some attributes or properties of the stuff of creation of which many are able to agree upon. I say agree upon, for we each have an incredibly unique subjective perception of creation and of the experiences we have of creation, including the stuff of creation, is unique to our perception. But there are attributes or properties of the stuff of creation that we each are able to agree upon. Analogously, we can look at the stuff of creation as modeling clay. All the clay figures and pottery made from clay and arising out of the modeling clay are the creations. But here it needs to be noted we cannot understand the stuff of creation like we can understand the modeling clay that is used in making the figures and pottery. The modeling clay used in the figures and pottery can be broken down and segmented into all the components that form the clay and can be individually understood. There is the water and the type of earth used in the clay. The earth is composed of many different materials, and both the water and any of the other materials of the clay can be broken down into molecules and atoms. However, we cannot break the stuff of creation in the same way. The best we can do is talk about the attributes of this stuff of creation which we can observe from the human perspective and then work with the attributes creating what we desire. This does not mean there are no components to the stuff of the essence of creation. Rather, given the current state of the human consciousness, the best we can say is, other than describing its attributes, the stuff of creation is unknowable and will always have a mystery or mystical property to it. From the human perspective, some individuals say that consciousness underlies all of creation, but the same can be said about energy underlying all of creation. Others have said all arises from a field of infinite possibilities or probability. Many mystics who have moved past the perception of thought experience a nothingness, and they say all arises out of a no-thingness. But this experience of nothingness does not mean there is nothing there. Rather, it is just there is no form for the human mind to perceive as the human mind perceives form. It is only the human perception experiencing a nothingness. Additionally, many others observe the self-organizing ability of this stuff of creation as reflected in the healing ability of our body or the planets and other natural processes within creation. Often this self-organizing principle is seen or experienced as possessing an intelligence. However, all we can really say about the stuff of creation out of which all creation arises is that this stuff is creative and has the attributes and can be experienced as consciousness or as energy or symbolically in mathematics as an infinite field of possibilities and probabilities or a nothingness and embodying a self-organizing ability or intelligence. Given the way the human mind limits its perception when it names something and then believes the name it gives something, it is recommended nothing more be said about this intelligence or the self-organizing ability of creation. It needs to be noted that this consciousness and this energy do not have a form unto themselves unless the energy and consciousness are given a form. So the question then becomes, what form do we want to give our consciousness, and how do we want to learn to manipulate the energy that gives rise to all of creation, for nothing moves without energy. If there is no energy, nothing moves. There is nothing to observe. Our consciousness is the way that we decide to put together and view creation, which brings us to the story we tell based upon our unique subjective perception. It is here, in recognizing energy and consciousness has no form unless given a form, humans are faced with recognizing the existence of an intelligence or self-organizing ability within creation. It is clear we live in a physical universe composed of energy and has localized into a form of mass as we understand mass, and all arises from this mass. It is easy to assume the existence of some intelligence or self-organizing ability brought physical creation into existence. Since we possess a consciousness and we can manipulate energy, this stuff of creation, it is only natural to assume this intelligence or self-organizing ability of creation possesses a consciousness. In any case, since the creative essence of creation flows through us and sustains us, we too are creative and we cannot not create. This stuff has created the universe we experience, and this creative power and creative ability is within each of us. Unfortunately, contrary to what our mind believes, our mind in its human perception is incapable of fully grasping the actual understanding of what this creative essence of creation really is. The actual stuff out of which creation arises is a mystery and always will be a mystery as to exactly how creation works, and any explanation that seems to work will have a mystical quality to the explanation and only provides a partial explanation or description. Analogously, it has been observed our situation is much like a fish swimming in the sea. The fish cannot get out of the sea to see what is really occurring. Or, if you wish, look at creation as a sea of energy, but consider the energy to be like water. Then imagine within the water chunks of ice floating around. The chunks of ice are made of the same stuff as the water. The ice is just the water solidified. So too creation, a sea of energy with chunks of frozen energy we call mass. As long as whatever we experience is filtered through the human mind and the human perception, we cannot see reality for what reality really is and what is occurring. Approximations and speculations are the best we have, and we can use what appears effective for what we wish to create. As such, we can say as effectiveness is our measure of truth. However we describe the creative essence of creation, this essence remains the same. It is creative, and it lives through us, and it is what gives us life. In understanding our creativity is tied directly to the creative essence of creation, and that this creative essence gives rise to our creativity, makes all the difference as to how we choose to use our creativity. In realizing this creative essence is within us, we are not limited what we can create. We have the full creative power of the creative essence of creation within, and this power and ability is available to each of us in each moment. Energy consciousness. It has been observed, especially when talking about our creativity and what we can create, to see energy and consciousness as flip sides of the same coin. To understand this relationship, consider what it means to be conscious or to be consciously aware. When we are aware and conscious, we have the ability to make things happen. One of the definitions of energy in physics is the ability to make things happen or to cause change. And it can be noted, neither energy or consciousness has a form. Rather, they both exist as an ability. It needs to be understood, nothing moves without energy. To be aware of something, there must be some movement. If there is no movement, there is nothing of which to be aware. Awareness needs a flow of energy in some form to become aware. Awareness of the flow allows the flow to be redirected into a different flow pattern. We direct the energy available through how we focus our attention and awareness. It can be said our energy flows where our attention goes. We direct our attention and subsequently our energy by the intention and what we think and believe at both a conscious and unconscious level. Our creative life energy is the stuff of creation. Seeing energy and consciousness as flip sides of the same coin, one can begin to see how all is able to become conscious, but not necessarily consciousness as the human experience consciousness. Additionally, here it can be seen, observation has revealed that all communication is energy-based. All flows of energy can carry information, and if nothing else, the flow of energy can be traced back to where it originated and can tell us something about its source. With the proper antenna and receiver, or their equivalent, and the proper converting device, the information carried by the energy can be understood. Probably everyone is familiar with radio waves and tuning a receiver to pick up a particular station's broadcast to hear music or some type of programming. As a human, we are sensitive to the energy we sense. The human mind and its creative imagination is the equivalent of that radio receiver. It can be tuned and extract the information from the energy we sense within our being and translate that energy into thoughts, images, and the like. Here it can be noted, it can be said with the information within the flow, that each flow of energy is a form of consciousness. If our mind perceives a communication from some being or entity of which our mind is not familiar, it is, in actuality, our mind receiving an energy transmission. But the human mind normally sees communications occurring between individuals or entities and not as an energy transmission. Of course, there are those that routinely talk about receiving a download of information, which is nothing more than an energy transmission to which one is receptive. In any case, we direct the energy and our attention awareness, whether focused within or what we focus on externally to us, and we extract information from the flow of energy. Additional discussions on the stuff of creation is found in the posted RYUC and Beyond YouTube channels entitled Back to Basics Part 1, The Mud, the Stuff of Creation, Viewed from the Creativity Perspective.